With her wrists tightly cuffed together, this young woman is desperately trying to convince these officers to let her go. That is because she is out on probation for previous drug convictions, and the judge warned her she is on very thin ice. So getting arrested for even just a traffic violation will result in her going to prison for multiple years. Sadly, though, these officers really could not care less about all the trouble she has gotten herself into. If anything, her being a repeat offender is actually all the more reason to not let her go. So no matter how much she doesn't like it, she is definitely going to jail now. There she will have to change into a degrading orange jumpsuit, let herself get locked in a full set of cuffs and chains, and then be taken to court like that to answer for her violating her probation, and thus squandering the second change the judge had mercifully given her. She messed up incredibly badly, and there is absolutely nothing she can do about that now. Jordan Stravinsky, in that thin jail uniform and with those cold steel cuffs locked around her wrists and ankles, this young new inmate isn't exactly bundled up properly for chilly autumn weather. Unfortunately for her, though none of the guards seemed to care in the slightest. Every single one whom she asked if it was possible to maybe get a jacket or vest just told her to shut up. One of them even seemed to take joy in telling her no and making her endure the cold. Another essentially called her stupid and condescendingly lectured her about how it was her own responsibility to put on an extra layer before being taken out her cell in the morning. And yet another one made an insulting and downright creepy remark about her body, namely that she shouldn't complain because she has enough meat on her bones to keep her warm. In the little time she has been in custody so far, she already discerned the guards were not exactly sympathetic towards inmates. But it is really depressing knowing the people who will be in charge of her for probably quite a significant part of her life can be this cruel. Unfortunately for her, she will just have to come to terms with that. She must obey and submit to them, no matter how much she doesn't like it. Getting arrested and jailed is nothing new for this young woman. She has had to spend several days behind bars plenty of times already, although the longest she has ever been held in custody is merely a week and a half. And that is absolutely nothing compared to the many months she will probably be incarcerated this time. There is a very good chance she will have to live in cuffs and chains for more than a year. Of course, she is not happy about that in the slightest, but she knows feeling sorry for herself is not going to make being locked up any easier. So she will just have to accept that she is going to spend the foreseeable future in jail, constantly getting ordered around, chained up, patted down, and strip-searched. It is going to be unpleasant and degrading, but she knows she has no one to blame for it but herself. Today, this woman starts off her 4-month jail sentence for a DUI crash, and that just makes her feel so pathetic. She has already acknowledged she did something wrong and shown genuine remorse for her actions, yet she is still getting punished for it, as if she is not mature enough to simply self-reflect and learn from her mistakes, as if she still needs to be taught right from wrong despite being a fully grown woman. She finds it downright infantilizing. But of course these are merely the consequences of her own actions. If she does not want to get treated like a child, then she simply should not have broken the law. And if anything, she should prove how mature she is by simply accepting her sentence as the punishment she deserves. This short and skinny young woman is clearly not a physical threat to anyone, especially not when surrounded by nearly a dozen officers. Despite that, though, she is charged with torture and murder. So she still has to walk around in a full set of high-security restraints at all times whenever she is out of her cell block. It makes her feel helpless, uncomfortable, and utterly humiliated. But of course, after her heinous actions, that is exactly what she deserves. So she better get used to living in cuffs and chains, because she will have to endure being treated like this for many years to come still. Taylor Killeen Edwards. This woman's baby boy died because she took him to a faith healer instead of to an actual doctor when he needed medical attention. And for that, she is now going to be punished. With her wrists tightly cuffed together, behind her back, she will be taken to jail. And there she is going to be stuck for the foreseeable future, securely locked away from her other children, so she can't hurt them as well with her dangerous religious practices. Of course, all of this makes her feel incredibly miserable, but unfortunately for her, that is simply what she deserves. Merely selling alcohol to a minor does, of course, not make you some hardened criminal. But unfortunately for this young woman, it is still illegal. So the police came looking for her, took her to jail with her hands tightly cupped behind her back, and made her pose for a mugshot. Now she has an arrest record, and since she will almost certainly be convicted, she is also going to have a criminal record really soon. She isn't happy about that, of course, but rules are rules. Her violation of the law needs to be punished and documented, no matter how much she doesn't like it. D.A. Millerberg. Nervously, this woman walks up the parole board in her cuffs and chains. She is serving a 5-year sentence for the role she played in a teenage girl's death. And while basically everyone agrees she already got an incredibly light punishment for her crimes, now she is also hoping to get released even sooner. She knows she doesn't deserve it, but at the same time she just desperately wants to have her freedom back. It has been years since she last got to leave her cell block without being securely locked in restraints. She is tired of constantly having her wrists cuffed to her waist and her ankles chained together. Unfortunately for her, though, that is exactly what she deserves. So she can either take genuine responsibility for her actions and accept that, or she can try to get herself out of prison just because she can't handle what she got herself into. But unfortunately for her, she can't do both. Kathleen Dorset. After killing her ex-husband in cold blood, there is simply no reason for any judge to go easy on this woman, and she knows that. So all she can do now is desperately beg for mercy, standing there in that degrading jail uniform while helplessly locked in restraints, relentlessly crying and sobbing, acknowledging she is a worthless and horrible human being who deserves to be punished for her wrongdoings. And then right after that, shamelessly asking for leniency, even though she knows very well she doesn't deserve any. It makes her feel so utterly miserable and pathetic. But of course, she has absolutely no one to blame for that but herself. She is a murderer, and she can either take genuine responsibility for that and accept the consequences of her actions, or she can embarrass herself even further like this. It's not like it really matters, though, because she will undoubtedly spend the rest of her life in prison anyway. It is simply where she belongs. Shayna Hubers. Having your wrists and ankles cuffed together all day long for a court appearance is not exactly pleasant, of course, because not only is it degrading and uncomfortable, but also frustratingly restrictive. Simple things you usually do without thinking are suddenly quite awkward, like you can't just keep writing as you try to wipe some hair out of your face. And instead, actually walking, you only get to humiliatingly waddle around with short little steps. Unfortunately for this young lady, she will just have to endure it, though. After all, you don't just get to walk around the outside world without being securely locked in restraints after you shot your boyfriend in cold blood. She may not pose much of a physical threat, but she has still proven herself to be a violent and dangerous person. So she has to be controlled, plain and simple. And if she can't handle the lack of comfort and dignity, then she should have thought about that before she committed homicide. This is what she deserves, no matter how much she doesn't want to accept that. Even though all this woman is guilty of is a genuine traffic accident, she is still treated like she is some worthless low-life criminal, having been locked in different sorts of restraints for multiple hours already, getting frisked rather hard-handedly, and constantly being barked orders at. She understands that she is in trouble for the accident and that jail is not a hotel, but she really does not get why she is treated so cruelly. She is essentially already being punished before it has even been determined she broke any law. It is incredibly degrading and demoralizing, but unfortunately for her, she is powerless to stop it. All she can do is comply and obey, and hope to get all of this over with as soon as possible. During a vulnerable period in her life, this young woman was groomed into joining a religious cult. At the time, she thought she was finally where she was meant to be, but now in hindsight, she realizes how badly she was exploited and abused. And while fortunately the police cracked down on the cult and got her out of that horrible situation, sadly she is now also facing some serious prison time for all her wrongdoings while she was a member. She may have been manipulated, but that doesn't mean her crimes can go unpunished. And even though she is not happy about that, of course, she does understand and accept it. She just hopes the judge is able to empathize with her and shows her at least some leniency. Either way, she is still very grateful to now be free of the cult, despite the several years of having to live in cuffs and chains ahead of her. This teacher just pleaded guilty to sleeping with one of her students, which means she is now officially a sex offender. She then had to let herself get cuffed behind her back, was taken to jail, got strip searched, and was made to put on that degrading striped uniform. Yet even now, as she sits her securely cuffed in place, it still does not quite sink in what she's gotten herself into. Not just all those years she will have to live in chains, but also her place on the sex offender registry for the rest of her life. Undoubtedly, nothing will now ever be the same again. She will now forever be defined by that one grave mistake she made. And although it does not truly register with her now, eventually it will. And then she will simply have to come to terms with the fact that she ruined her own life and that there is absolutely nothing she can do about it now. Nearly 30 years ago, this woman was begrudgingly involved in a murder. And if she had taken accountability for her actions and turned herself back, then she still could have had a relatively decent life. That is not only because she should have been able to outlive her prison sentence, but also because she would still have evidence of mitigating circumstances, which would result in significantly less time behind bars. But she did not turn herself in. She did not take accountability for her actions. And she did not give the loved ones of the victim the closure they deserved. And for that, she will be punished. Harshly, because although she has not been sentenced yet, she will almost certainly have to live the rest of her life in cuffs and chains now. Never again will she get to set foot out of her cell block without being securely locked in restraints. Never again will she get to go even just a single day without having to follow countless rules and obey constant orders. Never again will she get to enjoy the tiniest bit of freedom. And unfortunately for her, she has absolutely no one to blame for any of it but herself. Having to appear before a judge in handcuffs, leg irons, and a degrading orange jumpsuit is of course not a very dignified experience. But this young woman is not all that bothered by it. That is because the bailiff who is in control of her for today is an old Tinder fling of hers. And she just can't help but get excited about having to obey all her orders and getting helplessly paraded around the courtroom by her. That does make her feel pretty trashy. But if she has to endure all this humiliation anyway, she might as well just shamelessly enjoy it. And although her old lover has tried her best to keep a straight face, she clearly thinks running into one another like this is quite fun as well. After all, it is not every day you get to tease your ex while you are in full control of them. Having to come to terms with the fact you have a drinking problem is already quite difficult. And what certainly doesn't make it any easier is finding out not only that the police is looking for you, but also that the security camera footage of your drunk antics have gone mega viral. That was the case for this young woman. Countless people were judging her online for the foolish and indecent behavior of which she does not even have any recollection. She felt so deeply ashamed and was scared to death of people finding out it was her. But sadly, she was certainly not going to overcome her drinking problem on her own, and she knew that. So therefore here she is now, in jail, having just turned herself in. She is absolutely not thrilled about what is next. The world finding out it was her in those videos. This mugshot probably going viral as well. Having a criminal record that will haunt her for the rest of her life. And of course the punishment she now faces. The foreseeable future is definitely not going to be pleasant for her. But if there is one thing that she can take at least some solace in, it is that despite how hard it was, she did do the right thing and took accountability for her actions. Although she definitely does not like it, this young lady understands she has to endure certain security measures now that she is incarcerated. What she does not get, though, is why she necessarily has to be restrained like this. With her hands stuck in these tubes, she can't even shake her lawyer's hand or write down some notes. She may have done something wrong, but she is most certainly not some unhinged psychopath who can't be trusted with the tiniest bit of freedom. Unfortunately for her, though, she is an inmate now, so she will simply have to accept however she gets treated regardless of how overly strict and downright dehumanizing it is. And she better get used to that, because she will probably get locked up for quite a long time.
Hey, you're ratchet.
Are you taking pictures or videos?
I got a video of you. You're ratchet. This isn't nothing against y'all. This is because I know my friend. And I know she's going to want a video of this. And you're taking my hair clip with you to jail? No, you can have it. Remember me.
I love you.
I love you too. I'm weak.